every country needs to have at least one international airport. For a country promoting tourism, the aviation industry is very important. Our main international airport at Katunayaka, it's having a capacity problem. If you take a world map and draw a circle of radius 2000 kilometers centered at Ratmalana, do you know how many international airports it will encompass?
Quite a number then.
20. We have 4 international airports, which is sufficient. There is no need for any more international airports in Sri Lanka.
Hello everybody, warm welcome to every one of you. Today we are going to discuss safety in air traffic and future developments in aviation industry in Sri Lanka. I am the moderator, engineer Wasantha Senarathne, and my colleague is the resource person, engineer Athula Seneviratneand, and he is having an enormous knowledge in aviation and other activities of air traffic as well as other aviation functions. First of all, I wish to ask Athula, how important is aviation to a country like Sri Lanka?
So, let me start by mentioning that it's a privilege for me as well to be in conversation with a veteran aviator like you, Wasantha. So, getting at your question, last year, 2024, there had been 40 million commercial aircraft movements, Actual aircraft movements are even maybe double that. So these movements, it carried 5 billion passenger movements, supported 5 billion passenger movements and a cargo throughput of 60 million metric tons of cargo. Then the aviation industry last year, it provided bread and butter to 2.7 million families directly through direct employment in the aviation industry and indirectly to another 12 million families. Now imagine what the world would be without this. That's the answer to your question. Then coming to Sri Lanka particularly, we are promoting tourism. As you know, all our main sources of foreign income dwindled during the pandemic. And out of these, the one which we can regain in short term is tourism. So the government has very correctly decided to promote that. So because of that, it is even more important for a country promoting tourism. The aviation industry is very important, and also by now, practically every family is connected to the world, and even the low-income groups, someone is traveling to some foreign country. Maybe the frequency may be very low, but practically every family, at least one member undertakes air travel. So in that scenario, it's very important that the industry is live. So irrespective of where you are in the economic spectrum, whether you are a developed country or a developing country, or whether you are in debt, irrespective of all that, every country needs to have at least one international airport. In fact, there are only 4 or 5 countries in the world which doesn't have international airport, which are exceptions. Every other country needs at least one international airport, and airlines, it's optional. You can have your own carrier, or you can, that's a business decision. Anyway, you have to be connected to the world through aviation. So aviation industry is very, very important to any country, and particularly to Sri Lanka.
My next question is, what are the challenges faced by the Sri Lankan aviation industry?
One major challenge that we are facing is our main international airport at Katunayaka, it's having a capacity problem. Because the design capacity of that airport is 6 million passengers. That was at the end of, I think, 2005. Where the last infrastructure was commissioned. So that was exceeded somewhere in, I think, 2012 or 2013. It was exceeded, yes. And thereafter it has grown steadily. Then, of course, after 2019, first with the Easter bombing, and thereafter with the pandemic, there was a drastic drop. So that gave a little breathing space. But it again picked up, and in 2023, it has again exceeded 6 million. So, Wasantha, now when an airport is operating above its design capacity, there's an inevitable degradation of all services. So that challenge is there. So particularly, it's a concern for a country which is promoting tourism. So therefore, it's very important that this problem is addressed, and it has been done. The last phase of the airport development project is on, and it's public knowledge. There has been some issues, and it has been delayed. So the delay is a concern. So it's very important that all stakeholders, that includes the airport operator, the airlines, the national carrier and the other airlines, then the regulator, the air navigation service provider, and the contractors who are involved, the consultants, and the government, they all have a role to play. And it's very important that this project is quickly put on track and commissioned. The necessary infrastructure are commissioned soon so that the passenger capacity can be increased to 15 million passengers per year. So that is the first challenge that I will talk about. Secondly, there's a challenge concerning human resources. Now we know there's a brain drain. There's a brain drain in the island. And of course, aviation industry is not the only industry that is affected. Practically all industries are affected. But aviation is one of the main casualties because, there are certain trades which are unique to aviation. So our airline, the airport operator, the air navigation service provider, and the regulator together, they provide employment to, they employ certain categories of employees like pilots, air traffic controllers, then aircraft maintenance engineers, then station operators, information management officers, airport fire personnel, airport security personnel, all these trades I talked about, these are unique to aviation. Then there are other trades. Now, for example, practically all the disciplines of engineering are employed in aviation. Then you have other operations management, financial experts, even legal experts. All those people have a role to play in aviation. So many people are leaving and they have left. So the industry is finding it very difficult to sustain the operations. Fortunately, we have our higher education system turns out raw human resources who are candidates for recruitment, and both the airport operator and the airline, our national carrier, they have academies which can train people on these trades. But of course, you have to understand these training capacities have been designed to cater to the normal turnover, which happens under normal circumstances, not for large scale turnover which happens due to brain drain. So there's a challenge on these training facilities to keep track. So they have to be training, run courses back to back, continuously keep on training. So that's a big challenge because the brain drain is not something the industry can directly do anything about. So what they can do is to react to that. So the only way is to to generate more and more human resources. So this is the way to do that. So that's the second challenge. Then the third one, I would say, it's about embracing technology. So aviation is very highly technology driven. So when you take in Sri Lanka, our air navigation services, that's where the heaviest use of technology is being made use of. Things like the navigates, the radar, and the communication. So those are basically in good shape. Our record is good, the regional record is good, and we are almost on par with other countries as far as that is concerned. Then technology is being also used to a reasonable extent in front-end functions like passenger screening, baggage screening. But there's a lot of room to use it in passenger facilitation. That's one area which we are still relying on human resources for that matter in a big way. So when you rely on human resources, one can argue, yes, it provides employment, that is true. But most of the regional airports, they have embraced technology and made the airport experience a very pleasant one for the passengers. And that's very important, particularly when you're targeting tourism. So we have a long way to go there. And if we are to compete with these regional airports, we also need to embrace technology in a much bigger way and to infuse technology mainly to the areas of passenger facilitation. So it's very expensive, but it is worth it. So that's the third challenge that I could think of.
My next question is, what should be the strategy regarding the international airports in Sri Lanka?
So we have 4 airports designated as international airports. Our main airport at Katunayaka.
Yes.
We already spoke about that when we were answering your first question. Then the airport in Jaffna, the airport at Ratmalana, and the airport at Mattala. All these 4 airports are designated as international airports. So when you designate an airport as international airport, there are certain obligations. So you have to have certain things in place, irrespective of how economically feasible or how functional the airport is. So that's a big issue. So now at the moment, Katunayaka at the airport, there are sufficient movements to sustain it feasibly. Then as far as other 3 airports are concerned, there is some way to go. So when you talk of strategies to how to develop those, you have to look at each airport separately. Now, if you take Jaffna and Ratmalana, both these airports have functioned as an international airport sometime or the other. And so they cater to a particular segment of passengers. Now, if you take Jaffna, especially the citizens in the north and east, they use that airport to travel to South India. And it's the South Indian aircrafts are mainly coming from at the moment. Operations are between South Indian airports and Jaffna. So they obtain connectivity through that. So it becomes a tributary airport for the time being. Where, in India, there are many airports which are already gaining hub status. You can catch flights to Europe, etc. So certain segment of the society, especially from the north and east, would opt to use that. That's something. Then there are business travelers. Yeah. A particular segment of business travelers, they use that airport heavily to travel to South India.
Right.
And some of them, they are outward bound from Jaffna and they are inward bound from Katunayaka because for their business needs. So that's also a very unique model. Then, of course, there are people who travel for purposes like pilgrimages, religious tourism, both from and to Sri Lanka.
Right.
So these three segments will grow and it can be promoted. So that's the way to go as far as Jaffna is concerned. Gradually, it can develop into catering to other aircraft operations as well. Ratmalana, the problem is that the infrastructure cannot cater to jet operations. And the airport is located in such that you cannot expand the airport infrastructure without incurring a very heavy social cost. In my opinion, it's out of the question. So you have to think of ways. So one way to do that is, now they're already doing it. You cater to small aircraft like business jets. So small delegations, particularly business travelers who come to Sri Lanka for business purposes. So they can directly come into Ratmalana. So they come into the city compared to us. So they are in the city and then reaching the Colombo, the main areas of business like the stock market or maybe the port city, etc. It's just a very simple matter. So that's one area that could be promoted. Then another area, now if you take a world map and draw a circle of radius 2,000 kilometers centered at Ratmalana. Do you know how many international airports it will encompass?
Quite a number then.
20. Other than the airports in Sri Lanka, 20 international airports are encompassed in that circle in 5 countries. And some of these airports are being operated on by the airlines from Katunayaka. So now there are what we call turbo-propelled aircraft, which are being developed. I don't want to mention quote by model number. So anyone can do their own research. These aircraft have a range of about approximately 2,000 kilometers. Of course, the passenger capacity is very less, maybe about half the capacity of the low-end jets. That's one thing. But other than that, they have sufficient endurance to cover 2,000 kilometers, and it has less turnaround, and they are more fuel efficient than the jets for short-haul traffic. So airlines can consider. So those aircraft can operate from Ratmalana.
International.
And so since I told you that some of the 20 airports are already being served, so a portion of that could be offloaded to Ratmalana. Then in that way, that airport can also become more functional and more feasible also economically. Then coming to Mattala, Mattala is the alternative airport for Katunayaka. That was the main purpose. Right? And now there is the 2 airports have expressway connectivity, which is also good, but the airport is dormant because there are no commercial aircraft operations taking place. So that's a problem. So you cannot regain that in short term. It will take some time before it requires a long-term strategy. So until that is done, you have to keep the airport operational. It's an international airport, as I told you. So now there are accepted strategies the world uses. Make a dormant airport active. So you can make it a training venue. And also you can make it an MRO venue, and also and also aircraft dismantling. So if you take each of these are industries by itself. So if you take each one of those, if you take the training, I don't think the clientele, because due to the remote location of the airport, it will not be very attractive for the clientele, for people who like, because they will be mostly from the other provinces, in the cities of the other provinces. So, but the other 2, maintenance, repair and overhaul facilities, where aircraft will come, not carrying passengers, but for technical purposes, and they will get their thing attended to and fly back. Then aircraft dismantling, where the aircraft makes its final one-way journey to the airport and ends there. It's dismantled for the parts are either reused or recycled. That's another industry. It's a booming industry in other parts of the world. So that could be attracted. Operators of those two industries could be attracted to Mattala. Then it will have skeleton operations and the minimum level of aircraft movements, which could contain the wildlife, and so that the airport, there's no necessity for any wake-up calls when the airport gradually picks up. So that should be the strategy regarding Mattala. So then, if I may add, when you say talk about strategies involve not only things that you should do, things that you shouldn't do also. So we have 4 international airports, which is sufficient. There is no need for any more international airports in Sri Lanka.
Yes. My next question is, how best could the existing all airports be used? What is the role of domestic aviation in Sri Lanka?
When you talk about domestic aviation, now when you consider the fact that the road transport is being developed, road network is being developed, and the rail transport is also being developed very soon, mainly due to the development of road transport, access from the capital to any major destination in the island, I think it could be done in a maximum of 6 to 7 hours by traveling overland. So in that backdrop, we need to seriously consider what is the passenger segment who will be interested in traveling by air within the country. So obviously it will be somebody who is actually pressed for time. Now when you take the tourists would like to travel by land, because tourism is not about it's not only about reaching a destination.
That's right,
There will be sightseeing. In fact, that is how industry is promoted also. So I don't think there's a big demand for domestic aviation from tourists, unless from groups where you have some people may have a very tight itinerary, where they would prefer a part of the segment to be covered by air. But other than that, majority of tourists they prefer to travel over land. Then, so that leaves maybe the government officials who want to travel to other parts of the country and return back in a couple of hours. That will be one segment. Then as the economy develops, the business travelers also will pick up, right? People will travel for business purposes between cities by air to reach and come back in a short time. So because of that, we have a good infrastructure for domestic airports. There are so many domestic airports, so that should be maintained, without giving it over to other requirements. So it's a good idea to identify some of these and maintain them and to have some skeleton operations on. But the growth should be demand driven. I don't see it becoming a booming industry in the near future, but it's something that should be sustained, certainly sustained.
Aviation industry claims to have the best safety records among all modes of transport. And what is the position regarding Sri Lanka? Also, how can it become a benchmark for other modes of transport in Sri Lanka?
So you're absolutely correct in stating that the aviation industry boasts it has the best safety record. When you say the best safety record, when you compare it with the number of passenger miles carried. Now it's very ironical, when someone travels abroad or when someone is about to take an air trip, generally how you wish them a safe journey. So in the back of the mind, there's you think of a possibility of some disaster happening, right? But actually now nobody wishes you a safe journey if you are taking maybe a 3-wheel ride, where you are more prone to accidents. Right? So that is the conception of the general public. So, but actually, safety in aviation has come about through a chain of activities which have been vigorously applied and maintained with a lot of discipline and commitment and the proper use of technology as well. So that is not matched in any other industry. And Sri Lanka has a good record. That is not a matter of choice. We have to. Otherwise, other aircraft will not come. So they will not come to the island in the first place. So our safety record, as far as Sri Lankan aviation industry is concerned, we have a good record on par with other parts of the world, acceptable to the relevant industry standards. So then coming to a question about how it could become a benchmark to other industries. Actually, I'm glad that you asked that, because I think the aviation industry can set a very good benchmark, and it could be a great source of inspiration for other modes of travel, because we have a very miserable safety record in road transport. So the reason how the aviation industry maintains this good record is something that they could pick from. So for example, now many things which may appear very absurd to a layman are done. Right now, duplication, right? Practically everything is duplicated. Engines are duplicated, the navigation equipment are duplicated, and in a way even the pilots are duplicated. So that's one major way. So whereas now we don't do that in a car or something like that. Other than the spare tire, right? For 4 wheels we carry just one spare tire. So these are some things that the general, a layman may not understand, but actually that is how safety is brought about. And two people might go and check the same thing and sign off a checklist. Why two people? Because then one person might make a mistake. So through such vigorous commitment like that, they maintain that. So that can be easy. So if you want to make the road transport, rail transport, other modes of transport also safe like aviation, so that's where to start. Get that discipline, that attitude. It's an attitude basically, a culture. That safety culture must be inculcated. And the human resources play a major role. Now in aviation, all the major trades are licensed. The pilots are licensed and the license must be maintained. Now, obviously, you cannot do that for driving licenses. Now, I don't talk of a situation where you want to drive to have such a stringent process to license each driver. But at least the trainers can be licensed in a better way. The training equipment can be regulated in a better way. Fitness certification can be improved. Accident investigation can be improved. In aviation, there's a very structured and documented process for accident investigation.
Right. That's how they achieve these standards.
Exactly. But in road transport, there are investigations, but the objective is not to find the root cause, mainly to pin the blame on somebody. So like that, those things can be adopted, and it will be a very good idea if things could be benchmarked from the aviation industry and infused into the other modes of transport. And I would say that is, if not the best, it's the only way. Where these other modes of transport also, the safety record could be improved.
Aviation was the fourth in the 1940s and 50s.
Exactly, yes.
Was at the last place. Now they have come to the top.
Yes, that's right.
So thank you very much, Athula. It's a great achievement and to hear all what you said, and you have a very good knowledge on aviation as well as the safety of aviation. So thank you again. Thank you very much.
The feeling is mutual, Wasantha. Thank you very much.